Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to TTML. We are here for F1 action this Season 5, Round number 8 of the Championship as we take in the United States Grand Prix from the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. My name is James Hay, going to be taking to the stream, as always, on a Thursday night. As you can tell, nobody is alongside me in the commentary box once again, so unfortunately, you're going to be stuck with me for the next hour and a half, which I really hope is not going to drag you down at all. Hopefully, it is going to be a fantastic night, and I can tell you that we have got more drivers than last week as well, which is a positive step in the right direction, of course, for TTML F1. Of course, looking at the standings from last week as well, and looking at the top three, in fact, it was Harry Banks who took the win. It was Jorgen second and Noisy who finished in third. The Aston Martin's really having a strong race back there in Japan. And what did that do to the championship standings? Well, Harry Banks leads the way on 144 points. Jorgen's in second on 111. Championship cannot be wrapped up here tonight. However, Harry Banks could have a very good chance of lining them up to try and get that championship win next time around, of course. Isotopic in third as well on 107, with Tom in fourth and Azara also in fourth on 102. Then a tie for sixth between Noisy and Simply Superman, who've been really, really good the second half of the season on 97. Breakup in 8th on 87, Perpetuum in 9th on 85, and then Kazizel round off the top 10 on 58. Wedge, Chris, Frankie Frohl, Tiago and Mashiro round off the top 15. Funky Chicken, Volokong and Benny, Freddy and Tionis rounding off the top 20. And while we'll have a look at the driver's standings as well, let's have a look at the constructor's standings, because the constructor's standings is a little bit tighter than the drivers. Of course, the Red Bulls lead the way on 231 points. Aston Martin in second on 208. McLaren in third on 161. Mercedes in fourth on 134. Alfa Romeo in fifth on 127. Alpha Tauri in sixth on 102. Ferrari in seventh on 92, with Alpine in eighth on 85. Williams in ninth on 42. And then Haas in 10th on 0 point. Gunther Steiner is not going to be happy, I think, with the performance of the Haas boys currently out on track in TTML F1. But, of course, looking at the drivers' standings in particular, Harry Banks obviously holding a 33-point lead going into tonight. Now, obviously, that is more than a race win, basically ahead of his nearest rival, Jorg. And what that brings is Harry Banks lining himself up for a really good opportunity to win the title next time around, of course, in round 9 of the championship, which, of course, we do take in not Mexico, in Brazil, I should say. Abu Dhabi, of course, being round 10, the final round of the championship in 2 weeks' time. But Brazil, of course, being that that penultimate track, that is where championships have been won and or lost out on track, and Harry Banks will be hoping to try and secure that, of course, next week. But looking at the overall performances as well of some of the guys, Jorg, Isotopic, they've been doing very well this season. Tom, early championship leader, of course, took the first 2 race wins and then backed that up, of course, with another race win later on in the season. Again, he's back tonight. Hopefully, he is back to winning ways as well. 102 points. Never count him out in terms of a late championship fight. Also, the likes of Noisy, Simply Superman, as I mentioned earlier on, going through the driver's standings, they've been really consistent the second half of this season, especially Simply Superman, I think. He's been really consistent. Noisy as well, very consistent. There was only one steward's report as well, as we speak about Noisy from last week. Hazara and Noisy, that incident awarded basically a 5-second time penalty and 5 penalty points as well to Noisy for causing a collision. There was no position changes as a result of the Japanese Grand Prix last week, of course. We are waiting, of course, for the guys to get going. 15 drivers about to do battle, of course, around the Circuit of the Americas. 5.4 kilometres in, then 3.4 miles, 20 turns, a Herman Tilke design track, of course. First visited, of course, in 2012. We didn't come here in 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic. However, we're going to be there in just 2 weeks' time for real-life F1, and, of course, 28 laps waiting the guys out on track with the 3 component tyres, not the 4. 3 component tyres, the C4, C3 and C2, the softs, mediums and the hards. And we'll run through that track introduction, of course, at the end of qualifying, and a brand new twist that we're doing, so you're going to hear me waffle through in towards qualifying instead of going straight into a track introduction. We have got the task system all working as well, so that is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to have a delve in to the comment section as well, with me being by myself. Menno has put a good thing in, and Torben Ranheim in the comment section, best F1 commentator. And Steph Seymour was a very good commentator back in the day in this channel. Wonder if anyone knows who I am. Kieran McGinley? I'm going to take a stab at it. Kieran McGinley? I don't think it is, but you never know. It could be. And Ranheim, of course, putting the goat emoji. Might not be the greatest of all time, but certainly going to do my best here for TTML F1. I really hope that you are going to enjoy it, of course. And, of course, F2 and F3 are also live if you want to delve into some of the action that we've got on TTML and on League Racing TV. F2 and F3 also live. I believe Luke has managed to get his internet back working, so I think that stream is live. It's TTG Steph. Steph, of course, who I think partnered Mr. McGinley before I joined TTL back in the day. I think that was around season 16, season 17 before I joined. So welcome, Steph. Absolutely fantastic to have you here, of course. And it's brilliant to welcome old faces back into TTML as well. And it's unbelievable to see how much we've came on the league since even I joined, 3 games back on F1 2018. It is absolutely great to see the progress of the league and how it's come. And hopefully we're going to continue that, of course, for the final 3 rounds of the championship, leading on, of course, into season number 6. I'm not sure what the hold-up actually is. I'm not sure if we've got a 5-minute hold-up for drivers joining. Looking at the chat that I can see, Jorg has asked for a 5-minute delay, so that's why we are a little bit delayed. So Jorg is going to be joining at just hopefully before 8:05. Hopefully he'll be getting going into qualifying. So that means we've got 16 drivers, and we had 14 drivers, I think, last week in Japan. I've got to be honest, the attendances have dropped, but it is fantastic to see great attendances coming back once again around a track like America, which is a much fairer track, I've got to say, than Japan. Hopefully it makes for great racing as well and great overtaking, and hopefully a fantastic race for everyone to delve into here on League Racing TV. I'm a bit stuck to try and delve you through what talk about now, because obviously I'm by myself and I'm just waffling on like I normally do when I am by myself. But a fantastic race to obviously have out on track. We have got a couple of full-time seats as well. We've got the Alpines available. One of the Williams is available. One of the Alpines is available alongside Perpetuum, and 2 of the Alpha Tauris as well also available. Few of the reserves not making it as well. So for the final couple of rounds of the season, if you do want, and if you are F1 pace, if you do want to join TTML, you can do, and hopefully that might bring some extra faces on board. I can certainly say I've seen some of the season 6 lineup, and I've got to say, absolutely unbelievable in terms of what we are bringing to the track next season. But we are waiting a couple of minutes to say for Jorg to join. Obviously, looking at last week's race once again, Harry Banks took a very commanding advantage. He took a commanding win. His nearest rival, I think, Tom, he didn't make it, or he DNF, one of the two. And he'll be hoping, once again, to try and repeat that form. Jorg and Noisy, I've got to say, both Aston Martins last week did an absolute phenomenal job in terms of their driving. Probably got my joint driver of the day as a result. And both Aston Martins really coming alive towards the back point of the season, where you do really want to be challenging. And especially with 2 drivers like Jorg and Noisy, in terms of the constructors as well. I mean, Aston Martin are second, 208 points. They are 23 points behind Red Bull, leading into tonight, of course, in America. And Red Bull have had one consistent driver, no doubt about that. That's Harry Banks. Break FN, the Brit, has been out of sorts and probably been more of a second driver than compared to what the Aston Martin guys are. But they've been doing an absolute solid job, and I think it's just characteristic of Harry Banks' pace and Harry Banks' unbelievable driving skill that Red Bull are out on top still. But Aston Martin chomping at the bit. They may try and overtake the lead for Red Bull tonight, but hopefully we are about to get going. Jorg, I think, is on his way, so hopefully he'll be joining very soon indeed. And yeah, he has literally said he'll be there in a minute, which is great. And we are now beginning to ready up. The command has been given by Mashiro on the Discord, and we are about to get going. 30-second countdown now on. Hopefully we are going to be having a fantastic race, of course. Out on track as I swallow a fly. Short qualifying, of course, 18 minutes in length, and then 28 laps around the circuit of the Americas. And of course, America as a country have played host to 9 American Grand Prix, including the circuit of the Americas. I think I asked this question last season, but can you name the rest, without doing a Google search, can you name the rest of the tracks and of the American Grand Prix that we've had? I will come back to you maybe within a minute, but it is a very long list, and they've been racing, of course, since America in 1959, pretty much about 9 or 10 years since the F1 tenure. But we are getting towards short qualifying. Hopefully, it is going to be a fantastic race. And around the Herman Tilke design track, Herman Tilke, of course, designing many tracks, like the Jeddah track, of course, that's going to be coming to the game. Imola recently put in the game as well. But reminiscent, I've got to say, the S section, I think, coming through on this track, through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then through 8 and 9, reminds me a bit like Maggots and Beckett at Silverstone, and you have to try and take as much of the curb as possible without trying to spin the car, without getting caught on the curbs. I actually haven't driven this track on this game, so I can't tell you, and I actually haven't commentated on this track on this game either. So, it is going to be one of those races where it's going to be new, I think, for absolutely everyone, and hopefully we're going to be getting a very good qualifying session as we transition, of course, into qualifying, and I'll bring up the detail as well, and it is very overcast here in Austin, Texas. Of course, Austin being the home of country music, well, current modern country music. Of course, its natural home was in Nashville, Tennessee. And yeah, howdy to everyone that might be tuning in. That's about as much American as you'll get out of me all night. But we are waiting for the cars to get out on track. I can see moving further down the field. I think that's one of the Hassas coming out of the pit lane, if I'm not mistaken. Or it is one of the Alfa Romeos. I'm colourblind. It is one of the Alfa Romeos. And it's Funky Chicken coming out first. And Funky Chicken will be hoping for a very good result, of course, out on track. He's actually out on a set of the C3 compound tyres, the set of medium compound tyres that we've got. Set of soft, set of mediums, and set of hards. It's normally a one-stop race around here at Austin. So we'll be hoping from some of the guys that one-stop strategy is going to remain as far. But Funky Chicken, the first man out on track. We are going to get everyone, of course, out on track as well. Volokong and Break FN coming out the pit lane as well. So, Funky Chicken currently in the standings. He is, looking down, 16th position, 30 points on the standings currently. And he is only a couple of points behind Thiago, behind Machio, behind Frankie Fro. And if he puts in a very good shift tonight in America, Funky Chicken could be an outsider to grab some very, very good points. I'm talking like maybe top 8, I would say, from Funky Chicken. We know he has got the pace. Funky Chicken, I should say, not the other way around, as I've just literally said across on the commentary box. Terrible for me. Funky Chicken is coming through the final couple of corners through the second sector and then in towards the final sector as well. And we'll be hoping, of course, to go on board with him with some with the Halo graphic, which apparently is going to return, hopefully, in all working order. And Funky Chicken is coming through now, turn 18. The quadrupled right-hander coming through 16, 17, 18. Verstappen corner, as you could call it. As now, we're on board with Funky Chicken, coming out through the final corner. And let's get us on a lap of the Circuit of the Americas, 5.4 kilometres in length, and we'll see what he will do, running down, of course, in towards turn number 1. The elevation changes quite high in towards turn 1, the highest point of the track. Misses the apex coming through turn 1, but gets the car rotated in. A little bit of oversteer on the bump, but as he now comes through turn 2. And then in towards the S section of 3, 4, try and count them up as we come along, 5, and then 6, and he nearly invalidates, I think, coming through turn 6, through the end of the first sector. Not too bad from Funky Chicken at all, 25.2 through the first sector, and the medium compound tyre he is on, of course, will be about a second, 1.2 seconds slower. He runs wide coming out at turn 9, now through turn 10, and then in towards turn 11, and of course, down at the back straight, which is very reminiscent, I've got to say, of the old Delhi circuit back in the early 2010s, where the straight obviously goes up and down like a little bit of a roller coaster. And now Funky Chicken comes down in towards turn number 12. In terms of the fastest first sector, Break FN, 25.1 through the first sector. We should be seeing sub-25s, I think, through the night as we go through the first sector. But Funky Chicken now at the end of the middle sector, and looking again very good through the middle sector, 37.9. Break FM, by the way, 25.1. That is on a set of soft compound tyres through the first sector as well. Sionis has retired from the session. He's lost it obviously somewhere out on track, which we'll pick on board with just a second. However, Funky Chicken now through 16, 17, 18, and now into the left-hander of turn 19. Track limit and absolute premium. Absolutely manages it to perfection. As now comes through in towards turn 20, the final corner with the sun hazing down on the car. The Alfa Romeo runs to the line, and it's a 1:34 flat to begin off the night from Funky Chicken. Not a bad lap at all. and we'll see, of course, what everyone else is doing out on track. Break FM has just lost as we run on board with them in that white Red Bull, of course, the new livery from the Turkish Grand Prix. The Red Bulls, of course, running now the white livery, not the standard blue livery. Break FN has spun it, and obviously, I think he was not improving in the middle sector. And Frankie Fro actually is up in the first sector. Volokongen goes quickest with a 33.4. We'll run on board then with Frankie Fro, who is fastest through the first sector out of everyone. Tom is also looking quite quick along with Chris as well, so we'll actually run on board with Tom as he now comes through 16, 17 and 18. Flies around now coming through the quadruple right-hander. Volokongen still out on top, Funky Chicken in second. Isotopic, however, goes to the top, 31.9, and that's exactly what we want to see. And Wedge has just gone 200s behind him as well, so not a bad lap there from Wedge. Tom out of the final corner, runs to the line, 32.4 on a set of medium compact tyres. That is an absolute unbelievable lap. Chris goes top though, 31.7, and he goes 2/10 quicker of Isotopic. So all of these lap times coming in. We're on board now with Harry Banks. Just got the curb coming through turn 12. The Hasker now to the right-hand side is Volokongen, and Harry Banks coming through the end of the middle sector, 36.8. So he's actually up in the middle sector out of everyone. And now we'll see him now coming through turn 15. And then, of course, in towards 16, 17 and 18. Chris out on top, Isotopic in second, Wedge in third, Tom fourth, Frankie Fro in fifth, Volokongen sixth, Funky Chicken in seventh. The only 7 lap times to be set so far. Harry Banks though right of the final corner. Think he's just picked him an invalidation coming out of turn 19, and he has. Would have come. I probably went pole maybe with that lap. Harry Banks with a good lap there. However, invalidated at turn 19. But he didn't get, luckily, this and next lap invalidated. We'll run on board with this man here, the Irishman, Simply Superman. He's purple in the middle sector to 36.7 through the middle sector. He's actually a 10th and a half up on Harry Banks' fastest middle sector out of everyone. Simply Superman going quick here, around the final corner, comes to the line, goes quickest, 31.3, and the track evolution really beginning to take a hold. 6 minutes in towards qualifying. Simply Superman out on top, Chris in second, Isotopic in third. Mashiro was at a spin, looking like out on track. The Japanese man, of course, had a very, very circumspect race in Japan last week at his home track, but he'd be hoping to try and right the wrongs of last week as he now comes through 17 and 18. You can tell the front wing is completely off the car. He has got a McLaren coming behind him. However, we'll run on board with a new driver, the reserve of IFR Academy Lynx, and Lynx, I think formerly, if I'm not mistaken, of TRT. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody's watching from IFR, but I think he was part of TRT early on. He's on a set of soft compound tyre coming through the end of the middle sector. And looking through the end of the middle sector, I don't think he's actually got his task set up, and he is on an invalid lap as well. So just to confirm that, he is on an invalid lap, and he will be coming back into the pit lane, it seems. But early on, 7 minutes gone in qualifying, Simply Superman out on top, Chris in second, Isotopic in third. We saw Noisy come in with a lap as well, just a lap or so ago, 32.2 on that sort of soft compound tyre. However, looking in behind, Tom, 32.4 on a set of medium compound tyres. Now, most of the guys, Tom, Frankie Fro, and the likes, will be hoping for the track to really evolve towards the end of the session. I think they're thinking that the sun is probably going to come out with about 3 minutes to go in the session, and the track temperature begins to rise. And that will create, out on track, an absolute brilliant opportunity for the track evolution to go. From a set of mediums to a set of soft compound tyre, it's somewhere around 1.2 to 1.4 seconds around the track, like America. Because it is so expansive and so long, that is why we're going to be seeing a lot of improvements, I think, out on track, as Lynx has actually retired in the pit lane, so that's a bit disappointing from Lynx's perspective. Maybe a bit of a tactical decision to start outside of the top 10. Break FN, however, is on a lap at 24.8 through the first sector. And we'll now flick on board with him as he now comes to the left-hand of turn 11. A little bit of heat haze coming down on the car as he now exits out of turn 11. And now on the run up towards turn 12. Of course, 2 DRS zones around here at America. One down the start-finish straight, one down the back straight, down in towards turn number 12. As far to the right-hand side as possible to get the car turned in for turn 12. Beautifully done from Break FN. The Brit as he now comes through the end of the middle sector. And it's a 36.7, so he's quicker than Simply Superman by about 300ths of a second through the middle sector. In terms of his first sector as well, 24.8. He's not too far off at all here, the break, but I think we're going to be seeing maybe lap times in the 130s come towards the end of the session. We can see the blue sky just beginning to break through the clouds here with half of the qualifying gone. Break FN, nicely through turn 19 and then in towards turn 20. And now rounds the final corner towards the line. Is it going to go quickest? No, 31.6. I really backed up that lap, I think. And yeah, he's only gone second. And he's 3.5 tenths off Simply Superman in the end. So actually lost a lot of time. No wonder. 30 flat through the end of the final sector across the line. Simply Superman, 29.6. That's just to confirm what really happened there out on track. Thiago, however, the Frenchman, of course, part of E-Course, as he now comes through turn number 1. And now runs down in towards turn 2. Of course, new sponsors, new liveries as well for some of the cars. Of course, the Red Bull especially having that white livery. But most of the sponsors have been updated on these cars as well, given the latest patch update. So Thiago will be hoping for a very good lap. Yellow flags in Sector 2, don't worry about that at all. Probably just drivers either finding a little bit of traffic out on track and trying to get a bit of free air, or there's been a little bit of an incident, but I think it is the former rather than the latter. Thiago, however, coming down in towards turn number 11. Hopefully, it is going to be fantastic to see him improve. And looking through the first sector, it was a 25.3 through the first sector, so not too bad at all. And he's now coming towards the end of the middle sector. And coming through turn 12. See some of the comments coming through, by the way, as well. I'll answer them in just a second. Simply Superman, Break FN, Chris currently your top 3. Thiago through the end of the middle sector, 37.2. Not really lighting up the timing screens, I've got to be brutally honest. Wedge, however, is purple in the first sector, 24.7 through the first sector, so we'll ride on board with him. And Thiago, we'll ride on board with him now, because he is actually backed off that lap. So we'll now ride on board with Wedge, coming down in towards turn 12. Steph, by the way, in the comment section saying, I reckon that mediums will be ideal with the sun out, helping the tractor improve, but softs will be quick in the first 2 sectors. The last sector, they'll be crying out, though could be wrong. Mediums will be the best bet and able to lean on. Yeah, too true, I think, to be honest. It is obviously the driver's preference, whether they go into a set of softs, set of mediums, but we'll flick on board with Tom, because I can see on the task system that he's actually now on a set of soft compound tyres, as indeed everyone else is on that set of mediums. So we'll be expecting the track evolution to come from around this point, and then maybe the sun to come out later on in the session. As now Wedge comes through turn 20, the final corner. Norwegian running to the line. Frankie Fro goes second. Wedge now goes second, 31.5. Not a bad lap at all. Isotopic is also on a lap. Its teammates actually coming through turn 12. We'll see improvement as well, but Simply Superman out on top. Wedge in second. Frankie Fro in third. And looking at Isotopic's middle sector, he is purple out of everyone in this middle sector. Tom, by the way, 36.6. Chris is invalidated as well. We've seen improvement from Volokongan up to 7th as well. So all of the guys, now from a set of mediums into a set of softs, really improving. Funky Chicken improves that. He goes up to 6th. Isotopic, however, really interested to see what he does, because he was right on the limit in qualifying last week in Japan. He now comes through the final corner, runs to the line, and Isotopic goes quickest, 31.2. What is Tom doing? He's back into the pit lane. So Tom is back into the pit, and he didn't pick up an invalid lap, I don't think. He is into the pit lane, however, so obviously maybe keeping his powder dry, maybe keeping something for the race. Mashiwa was on a lap. The Japanese man coming through the final couple of corners. Actually, he's invalid on a lap. York, however, 24.9 through the first sector. Harry Banks as well, a little bit further on. We're now right on board as he now comes out of the middle sector. So Harry Banks 37.2 through the middle sector. Chris, by the way, through the first sector, 24.8 as well. But it's Isotopic out on top. Simply Superman in second. Wedge in third. Really good times going on currently. Harry Banks in 16th position currently, the championship leader. Be hoping to try and get a lap time on the board in the white Red Bull. Really not going to get used to saying that, I don't think, but I'll have to. As it comes through the final corner, runs the line, and he doesn't actually set a proper lap time. And that's why, because he's on a set of mediums. I thought he was on a set of softs. My bad. He's on a set of mediums, 32.7 from Harry Banks out on track. Jorg responds, middle sector, 37.1, so he's actually quicker than Harry Banks. He is on a sort of soft compound tyre, so be expecting to go maybe around Noisy Funky Chicken, Chris Soderberry in that 31.7 bracket, but we'll see what Jorg can do. 4.5 minutes to go, Isotopic out on top, Simply Superman in second, Wedge in third. As now, Jorg comes to the line, and he does actually go pretty much within that mould, just behind Volokongan. In fact, he goes and nips into the top 10, 31.9 out on track. Mashiva once again, coming through the end of the middle sector, 36.7 through the middle sector, so this is more like it from Mashiva. The Japanese man had a little bit of a rough time, as I say, in Japan last week, but he'll be hoping to try and bounce back to his rightful best, his TTML F2 winning best, of course, earlier on in TTML, where I think he won, it was either Season 2 or Season 3, I think he won as the F2 title. Might be wrong in saying that. Mashiro, though, coming through the final couple of corners through turn 19 and then in towards the final corner at turn 20. And now comes the line, and he goes 6th. Breaks into that 131.7 bracket, I should say. And on the second lap of soft compound tyres as well, Track Evolution really at a premium. Of course, he invalidated his last lap, but Mashiro goes 6th with a 31.7. Harry Banks is back into the pit lane as well. Tiago, however, is on an invalid lap. So I don't think we've actually got physically anybody out there on a lap at the minute, which means I can have a look at your gorgeous comment sections. Your gorgeous comments, I should say, out on the comment section. Right, I'm saying the full-time seat should be given to Zaman F5. For real, he is too fast. Division 1 in Norway together with Isotopic Hazawa and Vola Kongen. Oh, as Tiago was actually crashed coming through the end of the middle sector. That is through 10, 14 and 15. The wheel somehow is not attached to that car. However, it looks like it's now reattached, so Colmaster's physics really working, I think, there, to be honest. Tiago was crashed coming through. I think he got caught in the outside curve, spun the car, and now he's out of the session, so will not be improving above 16th position. So he's starting right at the back of the field unless somebody gets disqualified from the session, which you wouldn't imagine is going to be the case. Break FN was on a lap. He said a green first sector, invalidated in the middle sector, but I think he's going to be sent up onto another lap now as Tom has retired from the session. Probably in the pit lane, the Mercedes has retired. And quite a few drivers now out on track beginning to come out. The outlaps now beginning to come up on your screen. However, Break FN right on board with them as he now comes down in towards turn number 1. Elevation change around 50 metres, I think, up in towards turn 1. Break now through turn 2. Takes a curve on the inside line. That can invalidate you sometimes. Certainly I've picked up an invalidation through there before on the last game. Now through turn 7, and then in towards turn 8 through the first sector. Not looking too bad. 24.7 through the first sector. He is off 0.03 of a second on wedges. A purple first sector out of everyone. So if that's anything to go by, Break FN is going to be going towards the top end of the standings here. It's Isotopic out on top though. Simply Superman in second, Wedge in third. And it's really these guys that have really bubbled underneath the surface that are absolutely excelling currently out on track in qualifying. Frankie Fro as well, only a newcomer 2 weeks ago, and now 31.5, fourth, probably going to improve hopefully on his lap as well, and he'll be one to watch. Break FN, however, coming now through turn number 12, and a 36.8 through the middle sector from Break, with 1 minute and 15 seconds to go. The last lap times are going to be coming in. Mashiwa is back in the pit lane, however, so Mashiwa will not be setting a full lap time in, and he seems like he's happy with 6th position. He'll be hoping maybe that Chris, Funky Chicken, Noisy Volakongan and Harry Banks can improve on a lap. Frankie Fro has retired through the first and middle sectors, coming through maybe the S section. And that Break coming through the final corner, runs toward the line, and he goes second, 31.3. Really good lap there by Break, but you can see the track evolution again, like Mashiro, 2-lap-old soft compound tyres. Break FN very happy, I think, with that lap. Let's see what Wedge is doing. He's behind Simply Superman out on track as well. Right on board with Chris, who I think is one of the furthest guys on. 24.716 through the first sector. And again, lights up the purple, lights up the screen's purple, coming through the end of the middle sector. And now, Chris coming through as we run on board now through turn 15, and then in toward the hexagonal 16, 17, and 18. Isotopic out on top, but I don't think it's going to be for much longer because Chris is on an absolute fly of a lap. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 31 flat as he now comes through the final corner, really gains the track advantage, comes to the line, and it's a 31.2. Maybe I judged him up a little bit too much there. Chris is out on top though. Isotopic in second. Simply Superman in third. Wedge in fourth. However, Simply Superman in fourth. Wedge in fifth. But Simply Superman, purple through the green through the first and middle sectors. Funky Chicken has lined up the timing screens as well. Purple in the middle sector. But now Simply Superman in towards the final couple of corners. Runs to the line. And he goes quickest. 31.1. But what is Wedge doing? Wedge is backed off on his lap. So Wedge obviously invalidated somewhere out on track through the end of the middle sector. Funky Chicken now goes quickest. Noisy on a lap. Volakongan's on a lap as well as Harry Banks. And Volakongan is going to be the next to come across the line. 31.9 I should say is his personal best. What is he going to do? The Norwegian now coming through the final corner in the Haas, running toward the line, and he goes 8th, 31.6. Noisy is the next run up. Harry Banks is through the end of the middle sector, and he is not on a lap, I don't think. He's invalid coming through the end of the middle sector. So Noisy is the only one that can lay it on the line at 36.7 in the middle sector. Is it going to be enough to try and improve? Noisy to the line. He goes 6th, 31.4. Isotopic is invalid, so is Chris as well. But Funky Chicken, I did warn you, that Funky Chicken, if he is on his A game, he could be top 8 tonight. That is exactly the way you should be doing it, as I just put my hand through my linen basket. Funky Chicken's out on top, 31.164. Simply Superman in second, and an Alfa Romeo 1-2. How crucial is that going to be? Maybe in terms of the constructors' standings as well. But Funky Chicken is out on top, Simply Superman in second, and Chris is in third. When is the last time we've seen a Brit and an Irishman on the front row of the grid? I think it was Scuba and somebody else in F2, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Callboy. But out on track, Funky Chicken takes the top spot in qualifying. Simply Superman in second, Chris there in third. Chris didn't get his final lap in the end. He obviously he set basically a too early time, and that's why he's been left out, and that's why now he's going to be coming into the pit lane, obviously retiring out on track. But 31.2 from Chris, probably not going to be that happy. I think he can probably find a lot more time on that lap, but he didn't get the purple laps in, especially in his final sector. That's what cost him 29.8 through the end of the final sector. But we'll have now a full rundown of the grid when it will load on my screen. Hopefully we'll go off this AlphaTauri very soon. And we do. Funky Chicken out on top from Simply Superman in second. As I say, Alfa Romeos 1 and 2, with TTG Chris in third. Isotopic in fourth, Break FN in fifth, and to be honest, top 5, separated by a 10th and a half. Very good going for Formula 1 here for TTML F1. Noisy in sixth, Wedge in seventh, Frankie Fro in eighth, the Australian, Volokongan in ninth, with Mashiro in 10th, Jorg in 11th, Tom in 12th, Harry Banks in 13th, Lynx in 14th, Tionas in 15th, and Thiago rounding off the field. Both Lynx, Tionas, and Thiago didn't get lap times in. Interestingly as well, Tom and Harry Banks may be starting on that set of medium compound tyres. 2 of the title rivals, of course, coming into tonight. But, of course, we didn't do a track introduction earlier on, so let's reflect on the Circuit of the Americas, and we'll take you through a track introduction of the Circuit of the Americas here in Austin, Texas. Welcome along, everyone, to TTML. We're, of course, here for Formula 1. It is round 8 of the championship as we take the United States Grand Prix from the Circuit of the Americas. And, of course, the Circuit of the Americas, 20 turns awaiting the guys out on track. A Herman Tilke design track. First race here, of course, in 2012. 9 following American Grand Prix before that, of course. And we'll now have a look at the track map in question with quite a lot of elevation change. 20 turns, 5.5 kilometres and then 3.4 miles, 2 DRS zones, 1 down the start-finish straight, 1 down in towards turn 12. A lot of elevation changes I mentioned, especially in towards turn 1 at the highest point of the circuit. And again, to remind you of the 3 compound tyres that we do have here for the United States Grand Prix, there's the C4, C3, C2 compound tyres, the softs, mediums and the hards, of course, to you and me. And we'll see what, of course, those guys are going to be using as we now transition towards the formation lap. But in terms of that qualifying session, fantastic stuff from Funky Chicken. Simply Superman on the front row of the grid. Alfa Romeo 1-2 for the first time, I think, in ages in TTML. Fantastic to watch out for. Will hopefully going to be bringing the action very soon into live out on track. And here we go. The formation lap is about to begin. Of course, remember, top 10 qualifying on that set of soft compound tyres. The rest of the field, of course, are on their own volition. However, they've been very boring, and probably so because it is the one-stop strategy. The mediums to the softs really do work around here. The tyre wear around this track is slightly less than on the last game. So Jorg, Tom, Harry Banks, Lynx, Tionas and Thiago are all on that set of medium compound tyres. So the soft compound tyres, as I say, for the top 10 out on track. But my immediate attention is drawn to how these starts are going to happen from the front row of the grid. Funky Chicken and Simply Superman. One is going to be on the dirty side of the grid, next to the pit wall, It is going to be on the dirty side of the grid. There's predicted pit stop strategy, apparently predicted 2-stop. That I don't think is going to work, possibly for the set of soft runners. But what do these guys do? I think Simply Superman, if I'm not mistaken, is on the outside of the track compared to the inside. So he will have the cleaner run in towards turn 1, obviously not picking up any marbles, not picking up any dust, which can obviously take a big effect as well. But what will happen out on track from the start remains to be seen. Hopefully it is going to be a fantastic start. Hopefully it is going to be a clean start as well. And hopefully there's going to be no contact and no stewards penalties. Hopefully going to be awarded to the guys in TTML F1. But again, my immediate attention further down the field is drawn to Tom, to Harry Banks and to Jorg especially. Set of medium compounded tyres, 11th, 12th and 13th. What are those guys going to do? How they're going to impact earlier on? Are they going to impact early on in the race, or are they going to impact later on in the race? Absolutely remains to be seen. But we know Tom's pace, we know Harry Banks' pace. The championship leader is starting from 13th on the grid in that white Red Bull, of course. How is he going to get on? How's he going to fare with the trials and tribulations as Chris has left the session early at the end of the formation lap? So hopefully Chris might be able to rejoin. I'm not sure if he will be able to, but if his connection, obviously he's given up on himself, then it remains to be seen whether he can retake control of the car. But we are now getting on to the grid. 28 laps about to go here for the United States Grand Prix in Austin, Texas. We cannot wait to bring you, of course, TTML F1. Round 8 of the championship is just moments away. So now the final cars join onto the back of the grid. Tiago and Tianas take their grid slot. And now, hopefully, we're about to get going for 28 laps worth of action. And the red lights are now coming on. The 5 red lights here in Austin, Texas. The United States Grand Prix, round 8 of the championship. And it's lights out and away we go. Bit of a delayed start maybe from Simply Superman. Chris has rejoined luckily, but underway, and Funky Chicken leads the way in towards turn 1. And Chris's AI tries to attack Simply Superman coming in towards turn. The Alfa Romeos hold 1 and 2. Everyone I think is clean through. A little bit of contact, a little bit of scrimmaging between the Williams and the Mercedes. That was Mashiro and Tom making a little bit of side-by-side contact. Break now through into 4th as well. He's trying to challenge Isotopic through the S section. The side-by-side in the in the S section, I should say. It's between Mashiro and Tom, 10th and 11th position. Chris is dropping down the field. Hopefully he will take control of his car in a very clean order, and he realises that Bolakongan is behind him. But Funky Chicken has exploded away from the start. Absolutely clean start by everyone. Funky Chicken leads the way. Simply Superman in 2nd, Isotopic in 3rd. And I've got a comment as well. Isn't it nice to see lap 1 out of 28 for the first time on the spectator mode in 3 years? Absolutely unbelievable. Funky Chicken leads the way. Simply Superman in 2nd. Isotopic in 3rd, and now Chris is under pressure from Mashiro. Side by side as they run now down in towards turn 12. Mashiro dives it down the inside line. Really not needed. He dived that too much, and I think he got contacted with Tom as well and all of that as well. So Mashiro right down to the back of the field. He locked up. I think he messed up his braking point entirely. Tom now is struggling maybe down the field. He's got left side end plate damage on the car. So Tom has got right side end plate damage actually on the car, and that is why he's down into 14th. So I think Mashiro might have just kept a little bit of front wing in all of that. We'll hopefully, maybe, be able to see that in the stupid report afterwards. But Funky Chicken leads the way. He's absolutely exploded away. However, the Irishman now right on his tail. The 2 Alfa Romeos still 1st and 2nd at the end of lap 1. Funky Chicken leads, Simply Superman in 2nd, Isotopic in 3rd, and now Isotopic lunges it down the inside line in towards turn 1 at the top of the hill through turn 1. Doesn't commit the move, but there's the warning shot for next lap around, because of course the DRS is enabled next time around. And we're right on board now with Brick FN, who's on the back of Isotopic. Simply Superman really struggling through the S section, doesn't have much downforce coming through, and now Isotopic and Break right wriggling on the back like worms in the Armour Celebrity Jungle. But Funky Chicken leads the way. Simply Superman in 2nd, Isotopic in 3rd, Break FN in 4th, and Break has got a lot of pace here tonight. The Red Bull right on the back of the McLaren. I don't think he's going to lunge it in towards turn 11, and he doesn't, and we remain as we are as Isotopic gets right onto the back once again of Simply Superman. I think he made a slight mistake coming in through turn 11. Maybe a wide outline is now Break right on the back, running down. Frankie Fro as well, getting closer to Noisy. However, Noisy looks like he's got a straight line speed set up and pulls 3/10 away from the Ferrari in front. As we now come through turn 12 once again for the 2nd time. Funky Chicken leading the way. Simply Superman in 2nd. Chris has already picked up a 3-second time penalty, so clearly taking track limits and laps through premium. Might be the first of many to come around here in America. But crucially, Chris, just now within that second range, I was about to say he's just outside of that second, which he was, and now he comes back within that second. So Chris is on the borderline of getting dropped here possibly by the top 8. Funky Chicken, however, nothing to worry about at this stage. 1.1 seconds. Simply Superman may be overwearing his tyres slightly. There is a yellow flag in Sector 3, and there's Chris who has spun. Chris has spun, coming through turn 19, well out wide on the right-hand side of the track. I'm not sure if he's got any front wing damage. Don't think he has. I think he's lit up his rear tyres. He's into the pit lane, crashes into the pit wall, and that, I think, is out of frustration. He's going to retire possibly out of the race, and he has. At least he's retired in the pit lane and didn't cause a safety car. Funky Chicken leading the way though, Simply Superman in second, Isotopic in third, Break again, getting so close to the S section on the back of the McLaren, and now it's the McLaren's turn to try and come on the back of Simply Superman. Funky Chicken though leading the way, Superman in second, Isotopic in third, looking further down the field as well. Not really any position changes from the medium runners. We'll have a look at the position changes actually. Linked, this man here, 4 positions gained. Very good stuff from the Williams on his debut, of course, as a full-time reserve, as now Isotopic is about to attack Simply Superman, coming now down halfway down the straight. Isotopic, the McLaren is through, and now Break is going to try and get in this as well to the outside line, and Simply Superman, in the space of about 500 yards down in towards turn 12, he will lose 2 positions, because I think Break is going to dive this down on the inside line. The Irishman doesn't wait, and Break FN is now through, and he's into third, and Simply Superman now struggling for pace. He looks to the inside line though, in towards 10-15, and the Alfa Ray on the Red Bull still side by side, now into the hexagonal corner of 16, 17 and 18, and nearly lost it there, and now Noisy's right on the back of Simply Superman, and Isotopic is nearly spun, coming through 17 and 18, sideways like a Tokyo drift coming through there, and has lost 3 positions as a result. Frankie Phil now getting on the act as well, and Isotopic's race literally has gone from a really good start and trying to pressurise for the race lead. He's now down in 5th, and he is going to struggle because Simply Superman is now back on the back of Break, and Simply Superman doing a good job. Break now in second. Funky Chicken, though, out in the lead of the race. Leads 2.4 seconds. Absolutely exploded away from the field. He just looks like he's got ultimate control of this race so far. And Harry Bangs, championship leader, in 10th at the minute, as Thiago has crashed. Coming through the end of the first sector, or towards the end of the first sector. Oh, and there he is on the right-hand side, coming through turn 2. Just flying through camera shot there was Mashiro's car. But he is off to the right-hand side, just on the exit of turn 2. And now, Simply Superman is through and he's into P2. I really can't keep up. I wish I had a co-commentator with me. However, Break now down into 5th position. I'm not sure if there's maybe a little bit of a sliding moment coming out through turn 9, possibly. And I think Break now has lost, obviously, positions. It could end up being a war of attrition like we saw last week. Is now, side by side, Noisy down the inside line. 3 wide in towards turn 12. Isotopic trying to lunge the car in. Simply Superman now dives it down the inside line, and the Alfa Romeo has got to be a great second driver here to Funky Chicken. He loses out on this occasion, and Noisy now, he's into second. Isotopic, is he into third coming through turn 15? I think he just about is. Break FN right on the back as well. I'm not sure if there was a little bit of front wing damage flying there from the Red Bull, but Funky Chicken leading the way. 2.7 seconds. Break is trying to go all the way around the outside line. And they've got to be fair, they've got to be committed in their driving, but they've got to be fair. And the driving standards, of course, have failed in the last couple of weeks, especially with the attendance. We've only got 2 DNFs so far tonight out of 16 drivers. But Funky Chicken leads the way. Noisy in second, and now Noisy's turn to try and pull away from the field in the Aston Martin. 2.3 seconds, and Noisy, I think, honestly, will have a lot of time to try and gain here. The Dutchman is so quick. Out on track. Can he gain on Funky Chicken? I think, honestly, Noisy's probably going to be on the back of him maybe within the next 3 or 4 laps. But still, battle for third, really heating up. And now, what this has caused, because Volokongan and because Thiago had spun pretty much out of the same position where Volokongan was, Harry Banks now is in this DRS train. And this is going to help him massively later on in the race. The undercut strategy is quite potent around here in America, and I'd be hoping to try and get the move done maybe on Volokongan sooner rather than later. Speaking of moves done, Isotopic halfway down the straight gets the move done, and now Break is going to try and come diving like Danny Ricciardo down the inside line. And he just about gets the car stopped, but it gives him Simply Superman and fair play there, because it could have been easily a bit of contact between them both. I think Break realised that he wasn't going to get the position done. He took too much of the curb, and now Simply Superman back through, and he's into P4. As now, Break FN, right around the outside of 16, 17 and 18, through the hexagonal corner. This will be brilliant if he can pull it off. Simply Superman over wearing his tyres. Great stuff by Break FN. Through the goals that Brett, he's through and he's into P19, into turn 19, into P4. Great stuff by Break FN around the outside line. It's not the first time I've seen that move being pulled off on a wearing driver's tyres, but simply brilliant. You've got to have balls of steel to complete that one, and that's what Break FN has just done, and he's into P4. Well deserved move that. And Wedge also has picked up a penalty as a result. Chris was the first one to pick up a penalty. We'll run on board with the penalties as well. Wedge, 3 seconds time penalty out on track, obviously for multiple warnings. Track limits around here, as I say, an absolute premium, so drivers have got to be careful of trying to corner cut. Noisy hasn't got much closer though to Funky Chicken. 2.2 seconds currently. Noisy there, 2.4 seconds away, and he just made a slight mistake coming out of turn 9. Brings Isotopic within DRS range. Comes to the detection point, of course, out of turn 10. And Isotopic actually runs out wide, and look at how much time he's actually lost as a result of that. And he could be now under pressure quite considerably. However, Isotopic's got DRS, so I don't think it's going to work. And now Frankie Throw actually is going to be the next one to try and pass Simply Superman down on the outside line in towards turn 12. Simply Superman, however, the Irishman diving on the brakes down the inside line, picks up a 3-second time penalty for his pain, and now with the helicopter cam, the Australian looks to the inside line here in through turn 14 and then in through 15. Can he complete the move? I don't think he is. He could try and get the switch back out of 15. This is what Brick did last time around. He's not going to get it done this time. The Australian is absolutely hounding on the back of the Alfa Romeo. And I think it comes to show the Alfa Romeo, he's going to have to stick out there for quite a long time yet to try and get home onto a set of medium compound tyres. Because if not, he wants to avoid that set of hards as possible. Out on track, he does not want to go on that set of hard compound tyres. I don't think anybody does want to go on that set of hard compound tyres. Frankie Throw though on the back of Simply Superman in towards turn number 1 once again. And seeing Steph there in the comments section as well. Answer my question, who the last Irish and British drivers in the same part of the grid and team. Stephen Allen for Renault at Silverstone. I don't think I was around then to remember that, but still, fantastic that the facts and figures are coming out. It certainly informs me. Mashiro has left the session. Hopefully he'll be able to get back in. Hopefully this doesn't affect the task system as well, because obviously Mashiro set up the task system as obviously the host for the lobby. Isotopic, however, on the back of Noisy. Haverbanks now through on Volokong, crucial move for him. He's into P8. But now, Isotopic on the back of Noisy. Is he going to try and get the move done? The Dutchman under pressure now. Frankie throws through on Simply Superman as well. I don't think Isotopic is close enough, and no, he doesn't lunge out. However, Wedge lunges it down the inside line on this contact. There's contact, and you could see that from an absolute mile off as I flick through the camera. Simply Superman has also been spun as well. He's fighting with York for position, and Wedge either completely messed up his braking point there, or just had absolutely nowhere to go. And I think, to be honest, it was a bit of both, because now Wedge is down into P12, and contact like that, and missing braking points like that, obviously 3 wide pretty much that was, down towards turn 12. Very difficult to do, but these guys know better, and disappointing to see, I think, nonetheless. Funky Chicken that leads the way. It is. Pit window, however, open. 2-stop strategy, it says, on the right-hand side between lap 8 and lap 11. Don't think these guys will listen to the Amazon Web Service graphics on the right-hand side, however. Funky Chicken, though, leading the way. Noisy in second, Isotopic in third. And look at the gap that Funky Chicken is still pulling out. He's consistently keeping that gap in and around the 3-second mark. And the Alfa Romeo currently doing a phenomenal job out on track. However, I think Isotopic is now going to be right onto the back of Noisy. This is probably the lap where Isotopic, if he doesn't mess up his exit at turn 11, he is going to be right underneath that rear wing of the Aston Martin in front, and he is going to be picking up P2, possibly down in towards turn 12. The undercut, as Steph mentioned, very potent. Noisy actually lost it coming out of turn 11, and now it's side by side as Isotopic just waltzes past it. Not even before turn 12 that move has been done, and now Breck FN coming steaming at Noisy as well, down possibly the inside of turn 12. Doesn't get the move done. Funky Chicken holds the lead, Isotopic in second, Noisy now in third. Isotopic makes that move done. How crucial is that going to be maybe later on in the race? I don't think that crucial at all, because, look, Harry Banks is there. He's in 6th. He's obviously got ahead of Simply Superman as a result of that contact with Wedge. Wedge obviously lost the position. Harry Banks has basically gained 2-3 positions. So has most of the field, actually, as a result of that contact. And Harry Banks now, on that set of mediums, as Funky Chicken is in from the lead of the race. So Funky Chicken in from the lead of the race. And it'll be interesting to see what size he's going to go on. I think it's going to be a set of mediums, 19 laps. I don't think they're going to be too much of a problem towards the end of the race. So Funky Chicken is into the pit lane. And good to see, actually, the Alfa Romeo pit crew are in new livery, new attire, by the looks there. As Wedges also came into the pit lane in behind. Funky Chicken, however, out of the pit lane, now in P11 in clear air. And, to put this in your diaries, 15.4 seconds between the lead of the race and Isotopic. The gap between Isotopic and Funky Chicken is 3 seconds, pretty much. So, if that's been said, and side by side, Harry Banks now on Frankie Throw. Down the inside line he goes, and the Brit is through, and he's into P4, and he's absolutely mincing his way through the field. And we mentioned about the undercut, the overcut for Harry Banks. Remember, he's on that set of medium compounded tyres. He is aiming, I think, to go maybe at least 18, 19 laps on this set of medium compounded tyres before he decides to come in to the pit lane. But an absolute phenomenal drive so far from Harry Banks. He's in there in P4, and I think Funky Chicken's going to have to watch out for that because he's in P11. Yes, he's in clear air. However, Harry Banks' tyres are warm. The guys ahead of him are going to be pitting. Soon, Harry Banks will be in clear air and he'll control the race by himself. Can he, though, try and make that pace difference apply from Harry Banks to Funky Chicken on fresh set of tyres? Isotopic, however, into the pit lane from the lead of the race. Simply Superman is also into the pit lane from around P6 or 7. And actually, side by side between the two Red Bulls in towards turn 1. Easy move for Harry Banks, through and he's into P2. And soon, as I say, Noisy is going to be in the pit lane probably this lap, either next lap around. Either this lap or next lap around. And Harry Banks is there on a set of mediums. The gap to Funky Chicken, it's only came back down by around a second. Maybe a second and a half at a push. But he really hasn't gained that much on the guys ahead. And it just comes to show what warm tyres can do around a track like America. And Harry Banks at the minute, for me personally, I think he holds all the aces to the cards at the minute. And honestly, he might end up winning this race later on, thanks to a possibly brilliant overcut. Of course, there's a long way to go in this race, so I will stress that. However, here he is for the race lead, and now in clear air, Harry Banks sails through, and he's into the lead of the race, further down the field as well, side by side, between Jorg and Kongen, and Jorg is through, and he's into P5. So these guys in a set of mediums, now it is crunch time. These guys in the set of softs have to come in, and they've got to respond, of course, to Funky Chicken, who is 4.6 seconds, 4.7 off Tionis. And Tionis is basically out of this in the top 10, I would say. So Funky Chicken has got the gap between the leader, 12.7 seconds. So really, Funky Chicken has gained 3 seconds within the last couple of laps. Break FN, however, into the pits. Frankie Throw, both into the pit lane. Both in safely into the pit lane as well. And actually, I've just noticed around here in the pit lane, the pit lane, the white line has been put further forward compared to the last game. I've just noticed that, actually, in terms of the difference. Breaks into the pit lane. There's Funky Chicken, by the way. Exit of the pit lane. Break FN, nowhere to be seen. Isotopic is through. Break FN is going to be side by side, maybe with Simply Superman, and this is going to be interesting because the Irishman is now side by side, nearly cuts the Ferrari off the pass, and it's actually both of them side by side coming out of turn 1, and Simply Superman is ahead of Frankie Throw, so that is crucial. Warmer tyres for Simply Superman. He's through and he's into P10. Currently net P4 possibly out on track from the Irishman. But Funky Chicken currently holding the lead of the race. I know Relentless are leading EML as well, and Funky Chicken, honestly, I thought he would be a little bit way off the pace, but he isn't. Jorg, however, on Noisy. The two Aston Martins, fair fighting between them both, and now Jorg is through, and he's into P2. Back to Funky Chicken. 7th position, currently out on track. He's 2.8 seconds off Tionis, and catching all the time. He's 4 seconds ahead of Isotopic. That gap was 3 seconds, so Funky Chicken really has gained between a second and a second and a half on the field, because he's pitted a couple of laps younger compared to Isotopic and Break. However, Isotopic and Break, they pitted a couple of laps longer than Funky Chicken, so they're going to have fresher tyres by around 8, 9, 10% somewhere around that. The rest of the soft runners come in, Noisy and Volakongan, both into the pit lane. Now promoted, I'd say, Harry Banks into the lead of the race, Jorgen second, now Lynx is in third, and Tionis will be fourth. However, look, Funky Chicken is probably coming down the start-finish straight now, and in fact, he's already passed Noisy and Volakongan, and this is seriously impressive. From the Alfa Romeo, of course, pole position, turning to fast lap as if he's a changed man, I've got to say, out on track. And now look at the undercut, because now, Break FN, Simply Superman, Frankie Fro, all 1.2, 1.3 seconds ahead of Noisy and Volakongan. Crucial for their points in the race, crucial for the DRS. Simply Superman has got to keep within that second of break, however, to try and negate that fact of Noisy and Volakongan possibly being quicker later on in the race. Lap 12 out of 28 though. If you are enjoying this, of course, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you are new. But Harry Banks leading the way, it's 2 seconds the gap. Jorgen second, Lynx in third, Tionis in fourth. And at the minute, Harry Banks looks like he's holding every ace to the cards at this stage. He is going to come out behind Funky Chicken, there's no doubt about that, as Frankie Fro and Simply Superman are side by side. Further down the field in towards turn 12, gets the move done to the Ferraris, who's doing now in, and he is now into net P4, out on track. So Frankie Fro, impressive once again. He had a very good race on his debut. He picked up a podium on his debut, actually in third, 2 races ago. And Frankie Fro, channeling that once again. He's been consistent since he joined, and honestly, might be one of the finds of the season, as we approach the end of the season, of course. Frankie Fro might be one of the finds of the season. The Australian doing a phenomenal job currently out on track to try and pull away from Simply Superman, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's got fresher tyres. Simply Superman probably overwearing his tyres, and that's why he's struggling. But lap 13 out of 28. Harry Banks leading the way. There is a yellow flag in sector 3, and it's Wedge in the wall. Wedge is in the wall. I'm not sure where that might be out on track. And that looks as if it's coming out of turn 17 and 18. So Wedge into the wall. I have a feeling there he's gone straight on. I have a feeling there that he's obviously out on track. He's still got part of a front wing intact. The left side end plate is broken off. So Wedge is into the pit lane. Is he going to retire it out on out in the pit lane? I don't know. He does. I was going to say I don't think he does, because I was just questioning whether he was going to be. But yeah, shame. Wedge into the pit lane, retiring out on right in the pit lane. But luckily he has retired, as I say, in the pit lane and not out on track. So Wedge out of the race, 3 DNFs so far. We have just seen a move there as we rolled on board with Funky Chicken. He is doing now on Tionis, and he's doing these in P5. And look at how crucial this could be for Relentless Man, for the Alfa Romeo. Isotopic, 3.4 seconds off. Oh, and there's been a collision between, well, Noisy's off, certainly. I didn't see that, to be honest, but Noisy off. Coming through turn 15, either got caught in the inside curb and spun, or he's been caught up in an incident with Frankie Fro or Simply Superman. They might have had to take avoided action. None of them have got front wing damage, luckily. Noisy, however, I think must have just spun it by himself. I don't think he was around anyone else. Spun it on the inside curb through turn 15, and that is why now he's down in 11th position. Currently a net P7, which on the face of it doesn't look too bad. Frankie Fro lighting up the rear tyres as well, coming through turn 2, and he must have had a little bit of a moment as well earlier on in that last lap, because his tyres look like they're just overheating slightly. But what this does, with halfway through the race, what this does is bring Simply Superman back into play. Noisy has picked up a 3-second penalty, the first for him out on track. And in terms of the penalties up there as well, Frankie Fro, Simply Superman and Noisy are your 3-second penalties so far. And currently, at the moment, there's not really much going on. Frankie Fro, at the moment, trying to get onto the back of Break FN, but the Australian just struggling maybe with rear tyres, possibly rear tyre wear is quite high around on this game, especially since the last patch update. I mean, I've been spinning on time trial, which nobody luckily has seen. Simply Superman on the back as well of Frankie Fro. And in turn, at this stage of the race, certainly, he looks quicker. The Irishman looks quicker compared to the Australian. But whether that will be the case towards the end remains to be seen. Bit of support from Mannheim as well in the comment section for Isotopic. There is Isotopic. He's right on the back of Tionis, and the two Norwegians are better go side by side, possibly down in towards turn 1. And this might be the easiest move you might see all night, as Isotopic is through, and he's in to P5. And now, no gaps between himself and Funky Chicken. And Funky Chicken has got 4.5 seconds to gain, just over that, on Lynx. Isotopic now, with a lap younger tyres, he's going to push. And it's the push now, and Tionis will hold up Break FN as a result, and he's going to be more inferior compared to the Red Bull behind. So Isotopic, he really needs to now put the hammer down. However, Funky Chicken doing an absolute stunning job. I'm not sure what they're feeding them over there in Relentless, but honestly, an absolute unbelievable drive so far. This is his best drive, I've got to say, that I've ever seen of him, let alone here in TTML. So dominant so far, in a fashion where obviously he took 3 seconds out of the leaders, and he's doing it very easily indeed, I've got to say. However, I may speak too soon. At 15 out of 28, still halfway to go in this race. Break FN just cuts the exit of turn 12 there, because completely on the curb. And now Tionis under pressure. And is the Red Bull going to dive it down the inside and towards 10-15? Yes, Tionis I don't think is going to fight that, and he doesn't break offenders through, and he's into 6th position. And now look at the back, because the Australian right on the back of the Norwegian, pretty much giving the hurry up, I think, through on Tionis. And Frankie Fro to the outside line of turn 19. Try and go around the outside of there, you are an absolute fool, but he is going to dive down the inside and toward the final corner. And he gets the move done. Lovely stuff by Frankie Fro. Picked out his spot beautifully, I've got to say. Through he goes, and he's into P7. Tionis also picked up DRS as a result of that as well. So obviously cut crossed the DRS detection point at the same time. Therefore, both of them got DRS. So Frankie Fro through and he's into P7. Break offender to say through and he's into P6. And now, Simply Superman on the back of Tionis. Coming now through the S section 3, 4, 5 and 6. And to be honest, I was expecting Simply Superman to maybe waltz around the outside of him there. But he's being cautioner, and he's maybe been a bit too cautious out on track at the minute, because Tionis at the minute, P8, Simply Superman P9, the Irishman with limited ERS, I've got to say as well. It's only around 12% diving down in towards turn 11, however, gets the move done. As soon as I say that, he gets the move done, and he's through, and he's now into P8. And did he pick up DRS as well? Yes, but look at Tionis, he's got battery to burn, and now he's got 50%, maybe just over VOS, and he's now coming back, and Simply Superman realises this, and there's nearly contact between them both, and now diving it down the inside line is Tionis, down in towards turn 12, and he just about nearly got that move done, but Simply Superman is through, he's into P8. In the end, bit of wheel banging down the straight, nothing more, nothing less. That could have easily ended up in tears, but Simply Superman is through, and he's into P8. He had to do it the hard way, but he keeps that position, and now Tionis will be falling down the field as Jorg is into the pit lane from 2nd position. So Jorg is in from 2nd position, and in terms of the tyre wear as well, I'll have a look at the tyre wear. Harry Banks is on 60% tyre wear at the minute. Jorg was on 56%, so he actually had younger tyres compared to Harry Banks. And now go on, that's at a soft compounded tyre. And he is going to be lucky if he gets ahead of Noisy here, to be honest. He's going to be side by side with his own teammate coming out the pit lane, and they're both ahead. So Volakongan and Noisy are both ahead. However, Jorg, on that set of soft compounded tyres, just how quick is he going to be? He's got to basically now undercut Harry Banks. Harry Banks is going to try and bring that sort of soft compounded tyre later on into play. Funky Chicken has already gone 8 laps now on that sort of medium compounded tyre. And Harry has got 16 laps on that set of mediums. And honestly, he'll be hoping to try and break down. Looking at where Harry Banks is going to come out theoretically, I think he's behind Simply Superman if he comes out the pit lane. No shadow of a doubt. I think he's going to be around there, maybe between Frankie Fro and Simply Superman. However, Jorg, now through his teammate, down in towards turn 12. He's got to get the move done. Maybe on Volakongan as well. Look at this. The straight line speed is insane. And then Noisy sends it down the inside of them both. And Noisy, I think that was unintentional. And I don't think the Aston Martins are going to be too happy with that. Jorg, however, is through on both of them in the air. And Volakongan has lost 2 positions. And Noisy just came steaming down the inside line. I think he missed his breaking point entirely, but That's just cost Volakongan 2 positions, basically, as a result. So Noisy, not sure if he was playing wingman, I think it was just a pure miscalculation on the brakes. Noisy down into P10, and Volakongan down into P11, and Jorg has gained 2 positions for the price of 1, and now 3 positions for the price of 1, because Jonas is now, and look at him, he's side by side with Harry Banks, pretty much coming out of the pit. No, Harry Banks is further ahead, but he is close to Harry Banks, coming out the pit lane. So Harry Banks now 2.7 seconds off, and this is where this race gets entirely interesting. On that sort of soft compound tyre, what can Harry Banks, what can Jorg do? They're going to pull away from Jonas, no doubt about that. Whether or not Harry Banks is going to drag Jorg along remains to be seen. But look at the gap. Harry Banks, 2.2 seconds, 2.1 second. Gap is coming down ever so much. The overcut might have not worked. It's side by side between Jonas and Noisy down in towards turn 11, however. Noisy's now through, and he's into P8, and now Volakongan might want a piece of the action as well. And we could well see 3 wide, possibly, down in towards turn 12. Certainly Volakongan is going to be through on Jonas. Whether he's got the straight line speed to deliver to Noisy, which I don't think he does, Volakongan is going to be through, and he's into P9, and Frankie Thrower spun. Frankie Thrower spun, coming out of turn 12, just all down the foreground of shot, and Frankie Thrower now pretty much out of contention, certainly for a podium, but can the Australian recover? He's behind Jonas. Luckily, he's going to get that place back, but Frankie Thrower now down into P10. He's going to be in P9, and to be honest, that might be his race run. Harry Banks, though, 1.2 seconds off the back of Simply Superman. Gap to the leader, between Funky Chicken, 5.7 seconds. I'm going to say it now, I think he's won at this stage in the race. There's no... Because Funky Chicken and Isotopic are also going to get battling. Jonas, by the way, is into the pit lane from 9th position. Funky Chicken and Isotopic will get battling. Harry Banks will be easily past Simply Superman, maybe even down the straight in towards turn 12. And honestly, if that sort of soft companatized lasts to the end of the race, he's won this. He's won this, no shadow of a doubt. Isotopic, however, on the back of Funky Chicken. Frankie throw another penalty for him. That's 6 seconds now for the Australian. Funky Chicken, though, out on track, doing a phenomenal job. 0.7 of a second currently. Isotopic in second. Break FN in third. And the Iceman, quite literally, out on track, trying to lunge down. But look at this, in behind. Don't think Isotopic's going to be close up to the back of Funky Chicken. Actually, what does the commentator know? Look down the inside line now. Isotopic sails past him down the inside line and towards 12. What do I know? Isotopic's through and he's into P1. And now, Harry Banks is through and he's into P4. So he gets that move done. Jorg didn't complete that move on Simply Superman. But Harry Banks is through and he's into P4. Another one ticked off the list. His teammates up ahead. And then the battle for the lead is literally about 5 seconds up the road. So, Isotopic and Funky Chicken battling out for the lead of the race. Isotopic, fresher tyres, I think, are coming into play. I think Funky Chicken might be just losing, certainly front grip, I would say, on that front left. Looking at his tyres, it's 39% compared to Isotopic on 38%. So, not much in terms of difference. But even 2% difference could be the chance between you getting a puncture and you not ending up winning this race. Remains to be seen though. Jorg pulls out of the slipstream and Simply Superman down in towards turn 1. Gets the move done. The Aston Martin through on the Alfa Romeo. Romeo still 6-0s in there slightly. But Jorg is now through. And this is game time for the guys on the sort of soft compound tyres. Harry Banks and Jorg are within striking distance of each other in terms of DRS. And that means they're going to be catching hand over fist. But Isotopic leads the way. Funky Chicken in second. Break FN in third. Lynx, by the way, is going to have a battle with Tom very soon indeed, further down the field. And actually, we're right on board with that now, because Lynx is right on the back of Tom. Tom now under pressure, and Lynx, panther-like, down the inside line, in towards turn 11. Does he get the car stopped? Does he get the move done? Yes. Absolutely brilliant. Not cheating his way through. Lynx is through and he's into P10. These puns are really bad, I can tell. Lynx, however, on the back of Frankie Throw, and he's now through and he's into P9 to 2 positions, pretty much in the same amount of corners. Easy for Lynx. He's through and he's into P9, and the IFR Academy driver through. Tom, right on the back of Lynx. At this moment in time, however, Isotopic leading the way. Funky Chicken in second, Break FN in third, Harry Banks in fourth. I'm beginning to think Harry Banks might not win this now, because 7 laps to go, and there's a lot of time to go in this race. But Isotopic leading Funky Chicken in second. Break FN is now going to be under pressure from Harry Banks. I wouldn't be surprised if he just gets out of the way. On the right-hand side, Harry Banks. To be honest, Break fought him there. Harry Banks though is through and he's into P3 and now brings maybe Break FN into play, maybe Jorg into play as well. Could seem to have a 5-way battle for the lead with 8 laps to go, 7.5 laps to go pretty much. Isotopic leads, Funky Chicken in second, Harry Banks in third. This race beginning to build. You can just tell something is going to happen. Tom has picked up a 3-second penalty. Noisy has picked up a 3-second penalty as well. So Jorg on the back of Break FN. This looks to me the more immediate move. Currently out on track. Between the Aston Martin and between the Red Bull. And at the moment, Jorg pulls out of the slipstream, uses a bit of ERS, down the inside and towards turn 12. Job done. Jorg is through and he's into P4. And that is another one ticked off his list. He is now on the back of Harry Banks. He's literally following every single move that he has. Volokongan around the outside line. Noisy dives it deep in towards turn 12. I think he's deep. I thought he dived a little bit too deep, but he hasn't. Noisy keeps the move. Great stuff on the brakes from Noisy. And now look at Lynx. Lynx looks to the outside line to try and get the cut back possibly in towards turn 15. Volokongan tried on Noisy. Passes just a rolling roadblock at this stage and Lynx is through into turn 16. Lovely move. Volokongan forced out wide. Nothing he could do. Off camber. Lynx is through and he's into P8 and Lynx really flying through the field. He could be one to watch out for a top 5 finish later on in this race. Harry Banks again on the back of Funky Chicken for the lead of the race. It is now a 5-way battle for the lead of the race. And this has all the hallmarks possibly to be a great ending here in America. America really doesn't deliver great races, to be honest, but in sim racing, they normally do. An isotopic lead, Funky Chicken in second, Harry Banks in third, Jorg in fourth. Now looks like a 4-way battle for the lead, because Break FN, his tyres are now beginning to give up on him, and even though he's on 10 lap old tyres, his tyres are at a rate of, and I'm just trying to see, 38%. Funky Chicken and Isotopic 46 and 48. It's because they've been battling. Break FN really hasn't. He's managing his tyres well. Could be very well indeed towards the end of the race. Who knows with punctures and everything. Funky Chicken, however, the relentless man on the back of the OWR man. Isotopic under pressure. Is Funky Chicken going to launch this right around the outside and towards turn 12? Isotopic defends and keeps the lead. But now look at this. Harry Banks again on the back coming through turn 13 now. Through turn 14 he could get the outside moving to 15. No, doesn't think about it. Jorgen behind. Break FN. Still latching onto the back. Still on! Funky Chicken's lost it. Funky Chicken loses the 100 on the code. Spins coming out at turn 15. And that, up until that point, was an absolute brilliant drive from Funky Chicken. He should be very proud of his drive so far this race. But he just loses it. Just a little bit too much application of throttle. And he's now pretty much out of contention. He may as well try and continue for points if he can. However, Harry Banks for the race lead. Harry Banks takes full responsibility to get the move done down the inside line, and Harry Banks is through and he's into the lead of the race, and suddenly what could have been a great battle between these guys has ended up just being, well, ruined by a simple mistake from Funky Chicken. Turn 15 is very, very hard to get the throttle down, and now, from possibly a podium finish, he's now out of this one, and he's going to be picking up, it looks like, maybe 11th position at best. Which is such a shame, because he's driven an absolute solid race. An absolute solid race, and there's more positives to take out that than negatives. Absolute guaranteed. Harry Banks, though, leading the way now. Jorg on the back of Isotopic, coming with 20% ERS. Right on the back of the Norwegian, tucked within the slipstream. He's going to dive it down the inside line. Isotopic actually dived it for the lead of the race, and there's contact between them both. And the Red Bull and the McLaren just about get away with that one. And Isotopic just hardly defending his car. And now Jorg is on the outside line. It's easy as you like, and Jorg is through. He's into P4 at turn 14. Is he into P2? Running out on the outside of turn 15. Traction absolutely brilliant, and Jorg is through. He's into P2, and now it looks like we've got a straight fight between them both. Isotopic's tyres are done for, it seems. Break FN, he's been literally nowhere in terms of this battle, in the last few laps especially, but he's got fresher tyres than Isotopic. He's got fresher tyres, he's got less ERS, albeit, but Break doing a phenomenal job. He's in P4, he is not out of this if penalties get picked up. Harry Banks still leading the way. Jorgen second. Isotopic in third. And again, Break FN. Ron in the back of the Norwegian. Coming through the S section through 5, through 6, and out through 7. And Harry Banks now leading the way to second. The gap has just gone down within a second there. And I feared that Harry Banks might have just made a slight mistake. I think he did. Because now the gap is around 1.1. He's luckily outside of the DRS still. So Harry Banks fine in terms of the DRS. Leads the way. Jorg there in second. Isotopic in third. And again, Isotopic, turn 11 really hasn't been his friend out on track. He struggles coming through there. And it tells because he loses 3-4 tenths per second at least coming through turn 11. And if anything, that's what could cost them a podium. Making just judgment calls. Not silly judgment calls, but making incorrect judgment calls in terms of the line that you take through the corners. It all adds up across the course of a race. On Isotopic, through turn 11, you've seen it every single time he's came through there. He struggles coming through at turn 11, especially the exit more than the entrance. And he degrades up speed away. And now, this has let Break in for an absolute freebie. Volokongan is through. And he's through and he's into P7 on Noisy. So job done for the Haas man. And Haas actually could be picking up their first points of the season. Unbelievably in round 8 of the championship. Harry Banks leading the way. 4 laps to go here in America. Here in Austin, Texas, at the Circuit of the Americas. Harry Banks leads. Jorgen second. Isotopic in third. Break FN in fourth. Simply Superman in fifth. Lynx in sixth. Noisy in seventh. But for Volokongan, I should say, in seventh. But for how long? Dodged down the inside line. And they're leaning on each other down the inside line. Noisy is through and he's into P8. If I've got to be honest, I think he should give up that position because that didn't look like. Well, it looked like he got the run coming out of turn 1. I'll be fair there. He got the run coming out of turn 1, but just leant on the car to the right-hand side of him. And it's a very difficult off-camber corner coming through turn 8. So maybe, at a racing incident, maybe we'll give him the benefit of the doubt for that one. Stewards might want to take a look at that, though, if it does get reported in. Back up with the battle for third. Isotopic, Break. Break is doing a solid job, I've got to say. He has been an underdog this race. Harry Banks and Jorg go up the road. They're pretty much now on, apart from penalties, P1 and 2. Noisy now on the back of Tom. However, down the straight, job done. He's through and he's into P7 and now gets the job done very fairly on Tom. Through and he's into P7. Noisy coming alive in the last couple of stages, in the last couple of laps of this race. Tom, 22 lap all hards. He put it very early, but he's still fighting and he's maybe got a chance of a top 5 finish as Break FN. Looks to the outside line through turn 19. Isotopic again. Oh, and he loses control of the car and Break FN. Surely he's going to have this in towards turn 20. They've got to be very, very careful. And Isotopic is just about ahead. But he got away with that one. But now, it's going to let the door open. This is a freebie, surely for Break FN. Down the inside line. In towards turn 1. Hard on the brakes. Is he going to get the move done? On the inside line. Job done. Break FN's through and he's into third. Picked his spot there absolutely perfectly, and he's through and he's into P3. Isotopic, as I say, his tyres struggling out on track, and that's just a result of poor tyre management. And Isotopic now down into P4, and this podium is just now going out of sight, I think, as Break has managed his tyres better, and he deserves it because of that. Harry Banks leading the way though. Jorgen second. To be honest, the battle for the lead isn't over and done with. It's fluctuating between 1.1 and a second. Tom still on the back of Noisy. Jab, by the way, saying, just seeing the comment there from Jab. Big fan of that cheetah pun earlier on, Mr. Head. Thank you. At least somebody recognised it. Goodness me. Noisy now on the back of Tom. Volokongan in this, and Frankie Froll's not entirely out of this either. So it could be a 4-way battle for 7th, developing on the final couple of laps of this race. Tom now side by side. Has he got the run on Noisy? Down in towards turn 12. Noisy is very late on the brakes. Nearly goes into the back of him. Tom, however, cuts across. Job done. And Tom is back through the Dutchman and he's into P7. So keeping us very vague. Title hopes alive. I've got to say, Tom here tonight. Harry Banks still leading the way. And I think because of the position down on track, Harry Banks in second position in the championship. I'm going to have to check on this one, but the standings coming in tonight. Harry Banks and Jorg, 144 to 111. At this stage, it's not enough for him to win the championship by, I think, 11 points. If I'm not mistaken. I've just done literally quick maths there, so just correct me if I'm wrong. Harry Banks leading the way though. Jorg in second. Jorg is beginning to get into this now. And the Aston Martin, the Dutchman, is not done with, if I've got to be honest. He is charging. What are the tyres like in terms of the TAS system? Harry Banks is on 49%, York's on 44%. York's tyre management has been unbelievable this race. It's been, frankly, brilliant all season. And he always wears his tyres more thinner on the ground than Harry Banks. And this is proving it. Now York is 6/10 up for the race lead. And suddenly, what I thought was going to be a one-on-one battle is now going to become that one-on-one battle. Because York is right on the back of Harry Banks. He's not going to be close enough in towards turn 12. He is right on the back of him, however. Is he going to think about it around the outside line? No. Would have been brave and bold and brilliant if he pulled it off. He didn't. Isotopic is trying to fight on break. Then towards turn 12. Doesn't get the move done. But now, suddenly, I did say something might happen in this race. There's going to be no safety cars, no VSC certainly out on track for the remainder of this race. But Harry Banks, could it be the first white Red Bull out on track to pick up a race win here in TTML F1 all season? Harry Banks is pretty much 5.5 kilometres away from winning this. However, Jorg is right there. Jorg is honestly there. And Harry Banks dips out of that slipstream to try and break the toe. Jorg's not going to be close enough. It's turn 12. It is make or break turn 12 for Jorg. And if he doesn't get that move done there, where is he going to get that move done? Harry Banks leads the way. Jorg in second. The final lap of the race coming to an absolute crescendo here on League Racing TV. And Harry Banks is doing his utmost to try and keep those tyres alive. He's got to now push as if he thinks those tyres are going to get a second lease of life. Jorg at the minute, he looks all over the back of him. But one corner can do it. Coming out of turn 9 there, he's just lost a little bit of time. And now Jorg, on the back of Harry Banks, 4/10 of a second is much better striking distance than, say, 9/10 of a second. Harry Banks is done for, running down the straight. Jorg is going to use that 25% of EOS that he's got, running down the straight. Harry Banks, however, this could not be on. This might not be on. Jorg, now to the outside line, he switches to the inside line. Harry Banks cuts across, there's a little bit of contact between them both, and Harry Banks sails it around the outside line. Fair racing between them both, and it's now all kicking off into the final sector. Jorg and Harry Banks, Isotopic's back through, and he's into third, and Harry Banks is not giving up without a fight, and this is unbelievable racing. Jorg dives it down the inside line, pushes Harry Banks out, and gets the lead of the race. Brilliant position of the car, brilliant drive, and Jorg is there through, and he's into the lead of the race, coming through 16, 17 and 18. He's got 2 more corners to go. Harry Banks, I think, realises what's happened to him, and now Jorg is coming through the final 2 corners, coming through 19, coming through 20. Jorg, an absolute masterclass of tyre management. Jorg has won. Harry Banks in second. Break FN in third. My God, what a race. And Break FN has actually managed to get past, and he's run out of fuel. Break FN has run out of fuel, and Isotopic gets third. Isotopic gets third. Break FN runs out of fuel across the line. Lynx in 5th. Superman in 6th. Volkongen in 7th. Tom in 8th. Noisy in 9th. Frankie Fro in 10th. We'll have a look at the penalties, of course. And Sionis finishes in P11 there. Funky Chicken, what could have it been for the Alfa Romeo in P12 in the end? He is going to finish that. I think he could be on for fastest lap, actually, as well. Fastest lap currently has gone to Jorg, 33.6. However, Funky Chicken, coming out through the final corner, is he going to be a 33.6? He's well within striking range, to be honest, if he wants to do this. Comes across the line, and he does. It's a 33 flat, I think that was, from Funky Chicken. Mashiro, I think, left earlier on in the session. His car doesn't get counted, of course, with the points. What a race. Drive of the day, what about in-game fans? One man, Jorg. Absolutely brilliant drive. He picked that spot. I said it. Coming on to turn 1, last lap, turn 12, it was make or break. Turn 12, made the move done. Great defensive driving, I've got to say, by Harry Banks to try and get that move back done. Comes to show, TTML F1 is alive and kicking. The driving standards, I've got to say, brilliant throughout this race. Absolutely brilliant as a whole. And that is a race we should be proud of. Jorg has won. Harry Banks in second. Isotopic, in dramatic circumstances, get third. What a race. What an absolute race. As now we'll run through the full grid order. Jorg has taken the win from Harry Banks in second. And it just comes to show the mediums to the set of softs absolutely thrives here, and Jorg has won from Harry Banks in second, Isotopic in third. All 3 of them drove a solid race. Break FN, solid race in 4th. Lynx, under the radar in 5th position, drove well on that set of soft compounded tyres, a better second stint compared to his first, from 14th on the grid on his debut in 5th. Great drive. Simply Superman in 6th. Just struggled with his tyre wear early on, came alive in the second half of the race, didn't get the result that I think he would have wanted Volakongan in 7th, Tom in 8th, Noisy in 9th, Funky Throw ran off the top 10, Tionis in 11th, Funky Chicken in 12th, does pick up the fastest lap of the race with a 33 flat, Mashiro didn't get counted within the results, Wedge, Tiago and Chris all DNFing out of the race. And Steph definitely agreeing with me. Jorg definitely gets my driver of the day out on track. A phenomenal drive. Tyre management-esque. Tyre management was the order of the day. And it's as simple as that. And that is Jorg's, if I'm not believe, his first victory this season. Of course, coming back with a podium finish last time out as well. Fantastic drive from Jorg. Harry Banks in second. Isotopic in third. And as you can tell, my voice is pretty much gone. Therefore, there will be no interviews tonight. I really hope you are understanding of that decision. You probably heard me drinking in that race. And honestly, I think I needed that because it was brilliant. But an absolutely fantastic race. Hopefully F2 and F3 followed in the same footsteps as well. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did commentating on it. And honestly, absolute brilliant drive by Jorg. And Aston Martin obviously outscoring Red Bull as well in terms of the first drivers of Jorg beating Harry Banks. But that now brings championship points down. I think the gap is 28 points going into next week. I mean, I'll have a look at the virtual championship, actually. And it's 169 to 142. So it's 27 points by my calculations between Harry Banks and Jorg. In third now in the championship is Isotopic on 127. So fantastic stuff from Isotopic there on 127. But Harry Banks, second. Jorg taking the win. Really hope you enjoy that as much as I did commentate. And if you did, like, comment, subscribe. Tick that notification bell, of course, if you are new. And more action to come. Tomorrow night, League Racing TV, F4 and F5. It is going to be Storm and Conti once again for F4. Not sure who's doing F5. Both commentators, Buck and Pariah, won't be able to make it. So hopefully there might be a flying late sub, or either Storm or Conti might try to do F5 as well, to mean that we've got both streams covered. And I'll just throw out a bit of self-promotion. PSGL and VRT Esports Cup event tomorrow night around round 3 of the championship. And hopefully you might be able to join us for that. It's all at the same time, 8 PM UK time for each. But that is it. Thank you, of course, to Tom, who did the wonderful graphics, and thank you to our drivers for providing an absolutely brilliant race. I'm going to sign off before my voice goes. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.